Hey, what's up guys? It's Zach, and today I'm going to be going over my recent purchases over the past week. And yes, I made 3 of them, and it might be the worst idea I have ever had. Now, the reason being, this is dubbed the deadliest bike ever made. And the reason might surprise you. And no, I am not talking about the 1999 Hayabusa that'll do 210 miles an hour. I am not talking about an H2. I am not talking about a Ducati or a Yamaha. Nope, we are going back exactly 19 to 20 years ago to 2004 and 2005. And this was the prime year of light bikes with super big engines. So you might be wondering, what bike is this? Well, I'm sitting on one. It's just covered up. So if you want to see what it is, make sure you stick around. We're going to be going over all the pros and cons of all 3 bikes, and I'm going to let you in on what I'm doing with them. So let's get straight into it. You might be wondering again, what bike is this? And this is, of course, the 2004-2005 Kawasaki ZX-10R. And now this bike looks like crap. I know. I'm not going to lie to you. However, it came with a hot body 2-piece racing fairing set. Now this bike is set up for only drag racing. However, we are going to transform this into a street monster. So let's get straight into everything that's right with it and everything that's wrong with it. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is this called a Widowmaker? And the reason being, this is a ZX6R 03 frame, 03, 02, and that era of ZX6Rs with the first produced Kawasaki 1000 engine. And now this is a super light bike. So when you get up to 170, 150 miles an hour, this has the tendency to start death wobbling. Now, this up here, even though it's not on here, has a stabilizer. Now, stock, these did not come with a stabilizer bracket to stop any of the death wobbles. So that is why it was called the Widowmaker, because usually you get into a death wobble like that and you'll go down, and of course the name speaks for itself. But let's go over all the pros before we wind up going over all the cons on this bike. Now I'm going to try to very quickly go over all the pros on this bike just so we don't have a hour-long video and y'all are going to be skipping all the way through it, or you're just going to lose all interest. So let's get straight into it. Number 1, this is set up for nitrous, and yes, it does still have some nitrous in it. However, it has been sitting for 4 to 5 years, so we don't know if it's good or what's up with the system. So that is something we are still trying to figure out. And right beside this, we have the air shifter. And yes, it goes all the way back over here. This solenoid will grab this and it pulls it up. All you have to usually do is just hit a switch right there up that you can toggle to whatever switch you want, and then it will send air from in here. It will go into this control unit, and then it'll come down to the solenoid and it will shift for you. Now, to use this, we have a MPS kill box, and this will cut the ignition every single time that you go up or down with it. That way you're not destroying your motor or your transmission. Another very big plus to this bike is it's on a arm. This is a 12 to 14 inch arm. It is by Adams Performance, and it even has the nice little Adams right there. And attached to it is a steel racing sprocket. Now we also have one up at the front and the back. I am not sure on the gear ratio to it, or I would tell you. However, they are both still in usable condition, so they're going to be staying on the bike. And if you go right up here off of the motor, you will go on into our DynoJet Power Commander. Now this isn't the newest Power Commander by far. This is a Power Commander 3. It has USB functions. However, you're able to change the RPMs, and it even has a nice little gauge. It'll tell you the fuel, if it's up or down, and how much fuel you're getting to your injectors. And attached to it, in case we have anything else that goes on it, is a DynoJet multi-function hub. This will allow you to hook up all the other goodies you could possibly buy for the DynoJet and attach it to this system. Now, this thing does have, fortunately, a super clean Muzzy Sidewinder. This is about a $7,000 to $1,000 system, depending on what day it is and what month it is. During the summer, they sell a lot better. During the winter, everyone's trying to sell off all their extra parts. However, it is very, very clean. And we also have the oil filter relocator right down here. Now, whenever you're using a stock set of headers, it might not fit just perfect, so we might have to get rid of this. However, with the Sidewinder, it is a must. Now, if you come right down here, we have a full Woodcraft timing cover. Now, you can go in here and you can change around your timing. Of course, you'll have to go up into your actual head and change the sprockets inside of there to where you're able to use adjustable sprockets. However, for this application, it is just so we can get in here, make sure everything's right, and get the timing on to where we need it. Lastly, this does have a fully built racing transmission. It has been cut, polished, and it also has a slider in here with heavy duty springs. As you can see, there is a plate that normally would not be here that allows all this extra stuff to fit inside the clutch cover and the transmission. So usually you would not want to use this on, like, say, a road application. However, since we are trying to build a drag bike for the streets, we're going to be trying to use every single last part that we can off of this bike for this. And just for bonus, in case y'all wanted to see the nitrous system, here is the solenoid. And if you come right into here, here is a barely used fogger. And yes, this has only ever been sprayed 2 times. So honestly, I'm really excited to see how much power and what spray it's set up for. The guy said he had it set up for a 40 shot, but we'll wind up seeing whenever we put it on the dyno. Now, here are some negatives to this bike. And first, it obviously has a fully cut tail. So this is not going to be usable really on the street because I cannot have the proper lights on the back. So we're going to have to swap it out for something. Luckily, I have another one, so that's not too big of a deal. Next is this back tire. Now, obviously, let me get to it. You can see that there's a giant dip in it, and that is not just from lack of air. That is where it's been sitting for multiple years. And if you look closely, you can actually see all of the damage to the tire. So this is basically unusable. Once a $200 tire can't even be used anymore. Now, you might have been wondering, why is this fuel pump just sitting here? And the reason being, the second we turn the bike on, it starts to try to fire. So we're trying to figure out why it's not priming, why it's doing that. So what we did was we hooked up an external fuel pump to it that we had laying around for these bikes. And we have been just slowly testing everything to figure out what is going on with the bike. Next, right next to it, as you can see, there is no radiator hoses. Every radiator port has been fully blocked, and also there is no radiator sitting in this bike. So we're going to have to go through and fully figure out what we need to do to get everything back going and looking like it is supposed to, and get it fully ready to go on the road. Now, this is a 2005 ZX-10R Widowmaker, and it is the cleanest looking one we have out of the 3 we bought. However, there is a major problem, and that is someone took a sledgehammer to the frame. Now, this is a salvage title bike. They even ground off the serial. No, this is not stolen. I have a title to it. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. However, the only reason I bought this was because it does have a good engine in it. Now, this is a known low mileage engine, whereas the engine inside this motor does work, has good compression. We are going to be swapping this motor over to the third bike you're going to see. And again, the only reason we got this, we needed a fully running engine to go into the other bike. Now, I rode this down the street. I blew the back tire off of it. However, it is absolutely slammed to the ground. The rear shock is completely gone. There is a bunch of paint chips all over the bike. So we're not really going to be able to use these fairings. We're going to have to get a whole nother complete set of fairings for 2 bikes, because even the other bike we're going to show you has messed up fairings. Now, there aren't really anything other than that wrong with this bike other than the frame and the fairings. So let's get into the pros. This is a full titanium Leo vents exhaust system. It is a full header all the way to complete titanium tip. And behind that is a full chrome arm. This is a solid piece chrome arm with chrome accents all over the bike. It's almost sad that someone completely messed up this frame. However, it would have been an absolute piece to go to your local car meet if you would have had all of this nice and shined up. And lastly, there is a complete set of HID front light, meaning it is going to shine brighter than the sun going down the street at night. Now, some states you can't have it too bright. However, in Alabama, you can have it as bright as you want, really, as long as you're not blinding the person in front of you. And there is a few little pieces like this gas cap that has both of these up here are in green. However, other than that, this bike is going to be completely stripped for parts, and it is going to go onto this bike and the next bike that I'm going to show you right now. And for the third bike, of course, it is another 04 ZX10R Widowmaker, this time with the stabilizer. Now, the drag bike does have a stabilizer, however, it's off, but this is actually what it looks like. And all this does is it makes sure that your handlebars don't go left to right and wobble you off the bike. Now, I'm going to go over the biggest downside of this bike before I get into any of the pluses. It has you cannot see it, but a giant hole right about there on the engine. The guy I got it from completely blew it at the track going down. He heard something rattle, and then whenever I got it back to the house, a piece of the engine case was in the bottom of my U-Haul that I was using. Now, other than that, there is a lot of pluses on this bike. It does have a fully built racing head that is cam, degreed, and has everything you possibly need to run nitrous on this bike. And if you look over here, it does have a bracket for the nitrous, but it just does not have a bottle. Now, over here, you can notice that it has a full 14-inch swing arm. It does have some nice stickers on it. However, I'm not a sticker guy, so I'll probably wind up taking them off or leave them on there if I decide to do something with a sticker build. This also has a low pro oil pan, meaning that this does not have as much width and length as a normal oil pan. It works just the same. However, it's mostly used for drag purposes, and most of the time you'll wind up losing your oil cooler. But on this, luckily, it has the relocator, so it does actually have the full oil cooler. Now, if you come right up, we have two plates to go over the stator and the timing cover over here. And now all these will do is if you go down at the track, right, and it won't split this open and mess anything up internally. And lastly, right here, there is frame sliders on the front on both sides. So we got lucky there. However, every single one of these fairings is basically messed up on all of these bikes. So we're going to have to go and get 2 full sets of fairings and also 2 full sets of brake systems. We have one, however, we're going to have to wind up getting another one because just like the other one, it only has one of them on there. Now, it is a little dark over on this side. It does have a fully adjustable kickstand. There is no air shifter on here. He had one installed, however, he took it off and sold it, so it's not that much of a problem. However, at least this has a full tail and we'll be able to use this. So all in all, it's not a bad buy. I got this for $2,000. I got the full drag bike for $3,000, and I picked up the other bike that I needed an engine out of only for $1,500. So all in all, I'm very happy with what I paid. After I get all the extra parts fully sold and gone, I will only be into these bikes for roughly $6,000 after everything's said and done. So I'm super excited to see where this goes. We're going to have a lot of videos on these bikes. We're going to be taking everything apart, putting everything back together, and then we're going to eventually be getting these on the road and we're going to be driving them. So thank y'all for watching. I appreciate all of y'all that stayed through the whole video. Sorry if it was a little boring. I tried to make it as fun as I could, even though all I'm doing is just talking about my poor purchases. So once again, make sure you follow and like and subscribe so you can see more just like this.